friends, my name is Marines, and today I want to talk to you about the BookTube community and creativity. This is a conversation that was started by Priscilla over at The Readables, who's talking about being on BookTube autopilot and wanting to see videos other than the mainstays like wrap-ups, TBRs, and hauls. Whenever I jump into these kinds of conversations, I always like to clarify that I am responding to the conversation as a whole, including a video that Trina from Between Chapters put up about creativity in this community and on the internet in general. Priscilla's video was very clear about how she was on autopilot, and then that led her to discussing more of what she wanted to see on BookTube. I'm taking that and extrapolating it into a larger conversation. So again, this is just an entry and my point of view into all of that. For those of you who have been around my channel for a little while, you know that I'm very passionate about internet communities and I love talking about this stuff, and I really do love this community as well. I'll start with complete honesty here and say that my initial reaction to Priscilla's video was a defensive one. I'm almost certainly positive that she's never seen one of my videos, but it's hard not to take that kind of discussion personally when you strongly identify with a certain community, and I think the entire conversation speaks to a frustration that us smaller YouTubers have, is that we see our peers, these people who are also smaller YouTubers, and we see them creating amazing content that doesn't get the recognition that we feel that it deserves. So when we see that, and then there's a conversation started about how there's a lack of creativity in the community, it can get frustrating for someone like me who sees creativity within this community. So many of us are fangirls and boys and people, so we know what it is to be possessive of a community and to sometimes let that become defensiveness. So I had to check that knee-jerk reaction and just kind of think about the topic a little more broadly and what my thoughts are, apart from wanting to be protective of the community that I've created around my videos and by reaching out to different people. So I've been thinking a lot about creativity and autopiloting, and I hope what follows is cohesive. First, any discussion that categorizes BookTube as a whole can err on the side of unfair. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that when people refer to BookTube, what they're really referring to is a small portion of the most popular names in BookTube. That's not all of us. And sure, there are a lot of us out there doing hauls and doing wrap-ups, but there are a lot of us out there doing more, or adding really great, unique, and creative ideas into these mainstays. Personally, I organize these super collaboration and interactive videos, and I talk about race and diversity in media. Trina does wrap-ups, but her style is gorgeous, and she does it in a way that she is exploring the book visually as well as with a discussion, and I think it is just so amazing to watch. Colleen from Creating Colleen does these 90-second book reviews, and I'm always astounded by how she can get it down to that amount of time and just be so concise with it. Ashley from Climb the Stacks makes these videos that tackle really big topics like how do we read books that we don't understand and the shame that we can feel when we haven't read certain books. And that's just to name a few. I feel like these complaints about BookTube that can really stem from that small portion of popular booktubers can be solved by digging a little bit deeper into the community. The booktubers you're watching are all making the same video? Find new booktubers. Better yet, find some people that read slightly differently than you do. So even if they are creating wrap-ups and hauls, they're doing so with books that you've never heard of that can expose you to things that aren't in your immediate circle. For instance, Victoria at A Hermit's Progress pretty much has never mentioned a book that I've read before, but I love watching her videos because they are so thoughtful, and I will even watch reviews for books that I've never read before because she's very entertaining to listen to, and she's got really great ideas about the things that she reads. Rachel from Kalanati reads a lot of sci-fi and fantasy, but she also talks a lot about short fiction, which is a thing that the people that I'm subscribed to don't talk about often, and I think that's fascinating as well. Rincey from Rincey Reads talks a lot about adult and literary fiction, and she also places an emphasis on reading diversely, which is something that we all need more of in our life. Connor from Connor O'Brien, who I recently met and discovered, talks about middle grade books, and I love middle grade, and I don't think there's enough appreciation and discussion for them, and look, I found someone who does discuss them and appreciate them. The booktubers you are watching haul more books than they read. There are people on BookTube that are superhuman and read all of the books. I tweeted Kirsty from Melbourne on my mind before making this video and asked her how many books she's read this year so far, and she said, I think it's 371. She does weekly wrap-ups of her book, and she talks very critically about everything that she reads. So not only is she reading, but she's understanding, she's dissecting, and she's having conversations about them. Elena from Elena Reads Books and Lindsay Ray are also two people who read a ton and do these weekly style wrap-ups. Next, I would just say to create the content that you want to see. A few months ago, there was another discussion that happened in the community, in a broader YouTube community sense, about authenticity authenticity. I can't remember the creator's name, but he just had kind of a crisis of self about his own channel, and it made him do a call that was kind of like, is there authenticity on YouTube anymore? And I think a lot of times when we are unsatisfied with our own content, the reaction can be to turn that outward and to say, well, is there any of this certain kind of thing out in the community? So it was authenticity a couple of months ago, and Priscilla said she was unhappy with her own content, so she's turning that now and she's kind of asking, is there creativity left on BookTube? And I think that can happen if you feel alone, like in a sense of diversity. A lot of times people make videos about why is YouTube so white, or where are the diverse YouTubers? So a lot of times when we don't see what we want to see, we can kind of project that out onto the community, whether that's unfair or fair. My point is though that if there's something that you feel is lacking in the YouTube community, in the BookTube community, create it. I know it's easier said than done, but the only way to get the creativity that you truly want to see specifically is for you to do the thing. Also, I think it's worth pointing out that a lot of us are present to hear different people talk about books and not necessarily to hear people talk about books differently. Because we are a community of people all around the world bringing our own ideas and life experiences to this community and to reading, we have already brought that element of creativity and everything that we do. If you are happy with the content that you're creating and that content happens to be wrap-ups and hauls and the mainstays with reviews thrown in and maybe an idea here or there that you had, that is perfectly fine if you are content. I just don't want anybody out there to feel like they're doing less than they should be doing. If you want to improve your content, absolutely, by all means, go out there, get creative, do what you need to do. If you felt happy with your content and now you're kind of questioning that, don't question it. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep enjoying what you're doing. Keep creating what you want to see. Personally, and this is nothing against these kinds of videos, but I don't like to watch unboxings and trailer reaction videos. They're just not my cup of tea, and that's fine, they don't have to be, but I also will not create those videos because I do not like to watch them. Create what you want to see. Also, I just wanted to talk about this idea that creativity is singular and that for someone to be creative or be doing something creative, they have to be doing something unique or they have to be the only one doing it. That is not how I view creativity. Yes, it means bringing fresh ideas and your imagination into things, but there can be a foundation that you build creativity on top of. And I think it's especially funny that we're talking about this in this community because we are in essence people who take finished works, somebody else's creativity, and talk about it. We're starting with like not our own idea and making our own product out of it. That is what we do. And so to say that to take things that are already out there, even if they're in community things like hauls and wrap-ups, and build upon it is not creative. Oof. And also that, you know, for your idea to be creative, that it has to be the only time that it's ever happened in BookTube or the only time you've ever seen it and you're the only one who has ever had the idea. No, you probably will never achieve that idea that nobody has ever had before, and you're only going to get frustrated if that's your view of what you have to bring to this community. Start with a foundation, start with what's there and build on top of it. Bring your own imagination and your own creative ideas to build on what's already there. Also, I think this is a conversation that probably a lot of people who have been on BookTube for a long time can jump into, or people who have achieved a certain level of success, because for new booktubers, we're kind of like, I just got here. I just started making wraps and hauls, and these are still new to me. And sure, they're not new to the community, but there are a lot of people like you who started around the same time as you, who are just discovering BookTube, who to them, those things are still fresh and new, and that's what they want to see. That's the pull and the attraction that they had in the first place to BookTube. So is doing that stuff bad? No, and I don't think anybody was implying, I don't think Priscilla was implying that it's bad. I think hers was more of a call to creativity, but I just wanted to kind of rewind and look at it a little bit more objectively before people start putting a little bit of undue stress on themselves and start devaluing the content that's being currently made on BookTube. I think the call is a good one. It's a fair one. I would love to see more creativity on BookTube, and I would love to see some of the things that Priscilla was talking about, but I also really love the basics because I love books and I love when people discuss books and I love to know what they're reading. And I love when you can put your spin on something that I've read and it's completely like we saw things completely differently and you can tell me why you saw it one way. That stuff is just not going to change. Those are the building blocks of this community and that's what I'm going to want to be watching. Again, if you're feeling a little burnt out on the content that's being made, just dig a little deeper into the community and see what you can find. And watching some of these videos, stepping outside of your normal scale and scope is how you're going to get those ideas and bring fresh and new things. Let's chat about it down in the comments. If you know some booktubers that you think people should be watching because they are very creative and they're bringing new things to the table, leave them down in my comments. And let's talk about what you like to see on BookTube and what's the content that you like to create on BookTube and what you thought about this general call for more creativity within our community. Thank you so much for watching this video and I will see you guys soon. Whenever I make these discussion videos, it always kind of feels like you're just rambling on and on. I always feel like I'm gonna forget to say something.